My lords, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to episode number 2 of our Taming the West, for want of a better title, series on the newly released Deluxe DLC for Transport Fever 2. So, first things first, let's get the exciting news out of the way, shall we? As many of you will be aware, or hopefully all of you will be aware, I offered a chance for 2 lucky people to win themselves a copy of the Deluxe DLC for Transport Fever 2. All you had to do was just leave a comment in the comment section down below, making it very clear that you wish to be considered as part of, considered an entrant for the prize draw. So there were 6 of you, I believe, who made it clear to me that you'd like to be considered. And, generous to a fault here, all 6 of you, all 6 of you, why the heck not, will receive a copy. So just for confirmation, and if I have missed you out, and you believe you did make it clear, then obviously do let me know in the comments and we could look into it. But the 6 who I picked up on, and I will apologise for the appalling pronunciation on some of these names here, but the 6 of you who I'd like to offer a copy to, free of charge of course, are Robin, Kylie or Alex Brooks, FS Consultancy, Alan Nixon, JDXV13, and here's the one I'm going to butcher, and I apologise in advance for the poor pronunciation here, but Christian Kejmarki. I hope that's correct, or there's a decent approximation for an Englishman. So what I'll do, I'll flash my email address up on the screen. If you just drop me an email, and we'll take it from there. There was only a few of you, so I made the determination to just say, what the heck. Let's just have a bit of a giveaway. So, congratulations-ish, I suppose. It wasn't really a competition in the end. I just got very generous. But yeah, well done to you all. And thank you for taking part, basically, and obviously for your ongoing support. Now, before we get started proper, there are a couple of other things I want to touch upon. The first one is a few people have pointed out that the link to Discord isn't working. Yeah, you're right, it's not. I'd noticed that myself. I am looking into it. I'm very new to Discord servers and how they run and etc, etc. But yes, it is something I am looking into. And hopefully by the time this episode goes live, I will have sorted that out. So the link that's in this episode, and obviously I will go back and change the previous episode as well, but the link should have changed by the time this one goes out there, and it should be up and running for you. So anybody who would like to join the Discord server, obviously hopefully now you shall be able to, and obviously if I do manage to sort it out, all future links will be reflective of that. A few other comments on episode number 1, great comments. Yes, of course, the difficulty can be changed at any point, and it's probably something we might do a little bit later, but I think in the early days when you're restricted by money and loans, having it on easy mode can just get you that little extra boost up so you're not waiting around ad infinitum to accumulate money, and you're restricted as to what you can actually get done and what you can achieve. So yeah, perhaps upgrading it will be something we look into a little bit later on. I've made a few changes to the network. You may have noticed at the bottom screen there, at the bottom of the screen rather, the lumberyard, the logging exchange, I believe we called the station initially. I've changed that to the Joseph Walker station. Joseph Walker being a pretty famous frontiersman in the United States, or the history of the United States, and I thought having that little nod to history was quite appropriate there. If you have any other suggestions for similar sort of names than that, obviously do leave them down below. What else has happened? There's a few more mods gone in. American signals and signal posts are now included, and you may have picked up when we passed train number 2 there, we have also included the caboose cars. The mod for the caboose cars, they've now been added. They don't do anything. They don't provide any sort of bonuses like they would on Railway Empire, for instance, but they do add to the aesthetic and they just complete the look. So you'll see the trains from here on out having a caboose on the back, just for that realism, that extra element of realism. I think there's been a few other mods added as well, nothing game changing. As we said in episode 1, we are trying to keep it, in terms of gameplay, as close to vanilla as possible, barring a few quality of life mods, of course. So any future mods will likely just be related to including extra vehicles, trains, buses, planes, automobiles, that sort of thing. And obviously I'll keep you updated with them as and when they make an appearance. What I'll also do is compile a Steam list or a Steam Workshop collection of all the mods that are being used for this series, and as and when we get new mods included, I will of course update that list to reflect the changes. Anyway, that's enough waffle, I think. Let's hop off of this train and let's see where we are. So as I said, I've run it a little while in the background. We're up to 24 million, which is more than enough to do some nice expansion in this episode, so we can go ahead and get that date ticking away in the background. Now, in terms of our first expansion phase, what I think we're going to do is take a line from the New Haven sawmill and run down to here, where we can start getting those planks converted into tools. What we may do as well from here is have the same trains. Obviously the same train will pick up the planks, come down here and drop them off. Obviously we do have to bear in mind that it's a 2-to-1 production here, so we won't be able to leave with a full load. At best we'll be looking at a half load. But yes, they'll drop off down here, and then perhaps look at amending our trains to also include a couple of box cars, so they can bring some tools back. They can head up through here, and then if we just do a little line up into New Haven, we can put a cargo station where we're going to be dropping off the tools in New Haven. Going forward, I'm going to make a few changes to my usual play style. Those of you who've been with me for a while, you know one of the things I love to do, I do it all the time in every series thus far, is to have our stations, you know, say about here, plenty of distance from the cities, so they're not being negatively affected by the noise pollution from the station. However, I think I'm going to change that up this time, and I'm going to start putting my stations a lot more centrally. What I'm also going to do is look at sharing a lot of our lines. Again, this is a common thing I do, keeping the passenger and the cargo lines separate from one another, basically without exception, if you will. I might do something a little bit different this time and have some intermixing between the rail types, cargo and passenger, but we will have some separate lines as well. You know, we're not going to mix them all together just for the sake of it, but at the same time I'm not going to go to the extreme of making sure there's absolutely no interaction, or any interaction is a very bare minimum. So that represents another change, and it's going to pose its own set of problems and challenges. Anyway, let's move on, shall we, and let's get started straight away. So what we want is a train station somewhere down by this tools factory, just on the outskirts of Bellevue. So I think if we put it on that corner, as we can see, we do have a connection to the tools factory already, so we don't have to worry about having some trucks or some carriages, coaches running between these two here to transfer the goods over. They will automatically ship over by themselves because they're in the catchment. And yeah, then what we're going to do, it's basically a simple case of connecting this line up into this station here. I've made a change to the realistic track slope mod. I think we had it set to 4% maximum previously. I've now dropped that down to 3%, as we can see. So when you ordinarily you'd see this vertical arrow here, and you'd be expecting something akin to a 7.5%, and it can make you think, oh bloody hell, that's going to be a bit steep. As we can see, even set to maximum, it is only a 3% gradient. However, I don't think we really need to do much gradient changes here. One of the benefits of this style of map is a lot of the land tends to be reasonably flat, or flat enough that you can get away with having these shallow cut-ins rather than having to go up and down and follow the terrain. Obviously that doesn't always ring true. There are places such as this hill over here where if we wanted to summit this hill, it would take some engineering feats, perhaps a helix, a tunnel, but yeah, we wouldn't be able to go straight up because the gradient wouldn't allow it. But for now we don't have to concern ourselves with that. All we have to concern ourselves with is getting over to the sawmill station, and it's going to be a reasonably straightforward connection here, and we'll keep our tracks nice and straight. We have plenty of space out here to work with, so we don't need to wiggle and bend unnecessarily. But let me just think about this here, because that is probably going to be too tight of a radius there, so we'll pull this back maybe to there and then curve it. And at this point, are we lined up? Well, we're lined up-ish, aren't we? We're close enough. And then if we do a connection there, it's a 0.7 gradient. We're going from 13 meters down to 10 meters, and that's stretched out over nearly 500 meters. So yeah, a nice gentle gradient there for our early trains to not have to worry too much about. And the rest of the line looks okay. We know it's all straight and flat down here, and it doesn't look too bizarre because, like I said, a lot of the terrain around here, due to the nature of the map, is pretty flat anyway. So my plan at the moment is we're going to drop off here, and then we're going to load up as much as we can. Like I said, at most it's going to be looking at a 50% load due to the 2-to-1 exchange. And then we'll run down here, we'll keep all this single tracked, and we'll have it one way. We're going to come into this station here, and then as we head back towards Joseph Walker Station, not stadium, or potentially into New Haven, we're going to come onto this line here that we started and just terminated abruptly. So let's think, would we want to come out this way around Bellevue? Probably not, that's a good bit out of the way unnecessarily. What we could do is somewhere on this radius here, on this little curve, or perhaps where the track straightens, we can take a line that branches off to do its own thing and to meet up with that stretcher track that we have over there that's actually at the moment going nowhere. So if we go for something like this, and then this can all be one way and single tracked as well, and it's making a loop of sorts, and if we bring that into there, it's only a 1 meter, well, it's negligible, isn't it? We're over 1 kilometer long and we're dropping 1 meter. I'm pretty sure our trains can deal with that. So then we'd come back in here. We'd need a signal here just in case we have anything heading down this way. And now we need to make a determination. Do we want these trains to be mixed freight? And by that I mean include a couple of boxcars so they can also take some tools up here into New Haven. Or would we want to keep the tool delivery trains completely separate? Well, I don't see any harm in mixing them up, at least initially. We can always change it around later on. So let's just get on with that then. So what we want is a cargo, in fact, well, a regular cargo station here in New Haven. And if we have that situated, say, there, and we want to then take the track here, because at some point we might use this as a pass-through, so let's just mark out our territory here so that the AI don't start building down here and we have to pay through the nose to demolish anything they've constructed. So we'll have a straight exit there, and then from here have this connecting to this track down here, and we'll get it as high speed as we can, and I think 65 is as good as we're gonna get, and that's a decent speed. It's not until the late game when we have freight wagons capable of exceeding that, so we can we can swallow 65 miles per hour, I believe. We've got the American covered horse-drawn and uncovered horse-drawn carriages now available for selection if we so desire. But for now we can just concentrate on this, and what we want is to connect in to here. And again, let's get that speed up as much as we can. And I think something like that will work nicely. Again, we've got a decent speed throughout this entire connection. 60 miles per hour is the slowest it drops down to. Unfortunately, we do have this weird terrain artifact here, so let's just see, can we do anything with that in terms of Shift, Z and X. Just dropping it down nice and gently in very small increments. Hopefully we can do this without causing... Oh, we had it there. For a moment it decided it wasn't colliding, but unfortunately it's decided what to... Oh, there we go. If we just adjust it like that. How does that look? Now it needs to come down a little further. Let's move. Oh, sorry, move. Wait for the train to just roll away there so we can get a good look at this. We want to make sure it's all neat and tidy. How's that? Now it's still... now it's being very odd. Okay, well let's do something a little bit different. Let's first of all pause it, and if we're coming out of New Haven back to Joseph Walker Station, we don't need as much track down here. Now if we have, let's see, is that going to be far enough back? Maybe one more segment deleted. Will this work doing something like this? Well, if we could get it to snap to the train line, that would be great. Oh, there we go. And again, let's see how far we can stretch this out because of the speed's pretty poor there. 45. We might have to just swallow that, but now again it looks hideous there. Okay, what we'll do it in stages. We'll have it come away, but we'll have it no, not like that, because that's going to have a nasty overlap. Plus it's going to be dropping down to have to rise back up. So let's just try that again. And we want it to cross over and maintain its current height, and that should give us a pretty nice overlap there. Not quite. Let's just... still doing collisions. Okay, is this a new thing added by the DLC or a change by the, to the DLC? Because I'm not sure I like that. Okay, well let's take a different approach. Let's have it connected like that, and then let's have this come out straight away if we can. How does that look? That's better. Let's just take that out a little bit further just to get some more speed on this. If we can get to 60, that'd be fantastic, and yeah, we can. How does that look? Now it's... but we can do that now, you see. And yeah, that's pretty good. That looks extreme, of course, but when you look at it here, it's only dropping a meter, so I think we can deal with that. I'd rather have a little bit of a slope there and have a nice overlap. Anyway, now what we should be able to do is connect in. Oh, we could have it go parallel, because then we know we're going to have a smooth connection. So if we go there, 50 miles per hour, good speed across, brilliant. And now take this and bring it in just prior to the station entrance. Say to there, 60, yep, that's fine. That will work. And then while it's still paused, well, first of all we want to put some signals in along this new stretch of track, and again we're going to be using the US semaphore signals. We've added them in, so we might as well take advantage and utilize them. And as we said, all this is going to be one way down here. We don't need a great deal of blocking. We only have 2 trains at the moment. We might increase that momentarily. And then this way is the only way they're coming as they depart, and we'll just put one there just to clear that junction behind us. And from here on out, these can be reasonably well spaced. We need one there just in case we do have traffic coming down this way. They don't have to wait too far back then, and maybe put one more in there. This will be shared, and then we want to come off this way, perhaps with a signal there, and maybe one more at the midway point like that. And then we'll come out this way. We'll have a signal there just in case anything is crossing down that way. We want a signal there as well to protect this crossing here. And the rest of it should be okay. Right, that should work. I don't see any reason why... Oh, I know why it won't work at the moment. There is no active connection at this new station that we've just constructed. So let's take care of that. So we'll give them a nice straight road there. And bring that into there. Let's see the coverage on this station. We're not covering a great deal there, unfortunately. And I imagine, yeah, these are commercial buildings as well. So we will need to supplement the coverage with a truck station. I'm going to put 4 platforms straight away. If you remember from the initial setup, we did say the towns can call for a maximum of 4 goods. So if we put a station there, we're going to have to do some demolition work here on these houses, unfortunately. But then bring a connection in there. And do we want to... No, there's no need having a connection down there, is there? But that... Whoops. That covers to that. And then if we put a drop-off station down here, that guarantees we're hitting every commercial building so we can give them full coverage for the tools that they need. We'll just rename this one, we'll call it New Haven, because I might double this up as a passenger station as well at some point down the line. So this is a New Haven station. This will be the New Haven Freight Exchange. We want a depot down here, and we may as well put our depot close by our existing infrastructure, like so. And let's see, we've got these new ones, haven't we? So it has to be the covered horse-drawn carriage for this, and I think just 2, maybe 3 is going to be more than enough for coverage down to there. The colour, we'll go for that one. It's that sort of colour, I believe. And then we want to set up this new line from there to there, using that colour scheme there. And we want these to take tools only. And then this line will be called Tools New Haven. There we go. So those vehicles can now be assigned onto that line. So the next thing we need to do is amend the orders for our trains. As we can see, they're complaining at the moment because they don't have a way to get back from here. So what we'll do is we'll take this line here, manage the line. So here what we want you to do is load if available, and let's have you wait for at least a minute. And we want you to load planks. Make sure you unload the logs that you brought in. From then on, you're coming down here to Bellevue. We'll rename that station to the Bellevue Tool Factory. And down here, again, load if available. Minimum stop time of 60 seconds, maximum of 3 minutes. We can't load anything yet because we need to change the trains to include boxcars as part of their consist, so we'll do that in a moment. But then after Bellevue Tool Factory, we want you to come to New Haven. You're not loading anything here. And then from New Haven you'll come this way back to Joseph Walker Station. Okay, so this is now Logs Tools, and we'll just call it New Haven. We'll keep the same colour scheme, we could change it. So that's done, so we can start the game, although before we do we want to make sure we can get our trains modified to include the boxcars, so we'll do that first of all. So we want to modify both of our trains. We'll maintain the current capacity in terms of our flatbed, so 70, and then we'll go to cargo, we'll go to the boxcars, and we don't need a load for this, maybe 4 should do. And let's add 4 on there as well. Make sure we put the caboose at the back. So that's 1.6 million. How are they doing in terms of their speed? Well, we don't have any high gradients in terms of the default high gradient, 7.5%, so we don't need to concern ourselves with that. But we might still want to consider perhaps double heading. And maybe we'll stick a Baldwin on there. Let's bring the Baldwin to the front. What does that do? Does that make a nice improvement? It gets up to speed. Yeah, it's a lot better. We'll do that then. We'll pay through the nose. We are on easy mode after all. And we'll double head with a Baldwin on these trains. That's 3.69 million for that, which we can comfortably afford. And now we should be good to unpause and allow the trains to adjust to their new orders. I think we might also want to add more trains onto this. I don't know if 2 is now going to be enough for us. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate them and we'll have 4. Because they're going a lot further than they were, so we want to make sure we still have a good flow through of logs down to here to keep this industry nicely supplied. Right, so that's the first major expansion done. The other thing we want to do is perhaps rotate these out now with the new vehicles that we've just unlocked. And you can use the side stake carriage. So let's just go ahead and replace all of them. So we're increasing the capacity from 4 to 5. And I do believe the speed is also increasing as well. Not by much, just by 1 mile per hour, but what the heck. The increased capacity is going to be nice for us, so let's swap all of those out as well. Our trains are now too long for the station platforms, as we can see. So we might want to consider just increasing our platform length so we're not suffering on the loading speed penalty. Because if we look here, we'll see that this train is now suffering and it's only loading at 88% its normal rate. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's increase these platform lengths, and I think just 1 more platform should be enough. What we're going to have to do though is pause it, delete that little bit of track there, and amend this so we have track there, and then reconnect it back in like this. And then that train should now pull forward, and we can see if 1 extra platform is enough. Oh, it's not pulling forward, I thought it would. Never mind. So let's do the same down here before anything gets down here. So we want platforms, cargo platforms, 1 extra segment of platform and track apiece. That's 2 stations taken care of. We have this station here. I don't think we're going to be able to squeeze anything in that side. No, we're not. So we're going to have to do it this side. So we'll do that. And then we're going to have to pause it here because we need to do some adjustments to this line. So we'll take it back to there. Add the track segment in there. And then reconnect with the normal tracks, if you will. Like so. Let's get that to 50 miles per hour. Oh, it's dropping down, so 49 it is. And then bring that over. Doesn't matter if that's a little bit slow because it'll be coming to a halt. Oh, sorry, they'll just be leaving the station as they head this way anyway. So having it a little bit slower there isn't the end of the world. Let's replace that signal that we had here, like so. So that's that station done. The only one we have left to do is this station here, which we can do now, and we'll do the same thing here. So the first thing we want to do is delete this track back. We can take it back a fair distance there. We've got plenty of room to work with. Now go to configure. Let's put in an extra platform and track segment as before. And get it all rejoined like that. Perfect. So yeah, as we can see, the trains now comfortably fit on the newly adjusted platforms. The other thing we need to do is go to manage line. Here, they're not taking a full load all now, they're taking a full load any. Because otherwise they're going to wait for these 4 wagons to fill up as well, which obviously they're never going to do. So let's just make sure that's done. Make sure you're not loading anything down there and only unloading tools. And here, let's make sure you're loading tools and unloading the planks. And here we'll just get rid of those. You don't need to do any of this. And that's already set. So that's... Oh god, what have I just deleted there? New Haven Sum. I've deleted the Bellevue Tools Factory, didn't I? So let's get that back in. Bellevue Tools Factory. What did we have it set to? Was it 1 minute there? And here you're unloading planks and loading tools. Here you're unloading tools. Let's go through and make sure everything's correct then. Loading logs there. The sawmill, you're unloading logs, loading planks, and you're waiting for 60 seconds, load if available. Bellevue Tools Factory, load if available, waiting for 60 seconds. You are loading tools, unloading planks. And then New Haven, you're unloading tools and loading nothing before heading back to Joseph Walker Station. Yep, there we go. Since we have the money to burn, we may as well just smooth out some of this terrain here from where we've had to drop into the terrain to lay our new tracks, just to keep it all nice and smooth. So nice and quick, just running the terrain tool over all of this, and it just gets rid of those sharp corners on the terrain modification, which always look a little bit odd if you ask me. There we go, that makes it look a lot better. Do we want to do any... Yeah, we need to just smooth this up as well. Not a great deal, again, it's just to make sure it isn't quite so rigid where it meets the existing or the default terrain, the natural terrain height, if you will. Just makes it look a lot nicer, gives it that smoother transition. A lot more pleasant to work with and look at. There we go. So do you have anything on board? You don't yet, that's fine, not a problem. Should all kick into gear pretty quickly. You should be loading some planks, and yes you are. You're only loading one set though. That's well, let's see if it'll work better with this set to full load any, but waiting for a maximum of maybe drop that down to 2 minutes. And have that set to 0. Maybe that's going to work better. And again, full load any, drop that to 0 and set that to 120. And we'll see what effect that has. We don't have a train down here yet. You are just... I guess you're just leaving the depot, so you're the 4th train on the line. Okay, so everything looks to be going reasonably okay. The AK Brooks is on the way back now. We've changed the orders here. They're no longer waiting to fill up the box cars, which is obviously always good because they'd be waiting there for a long time to achieve that. Nothing ever travels back this way, so what we can do is that signal there. Obviously the AK Brooks has had to stop that junction quite a ways back down here, so we'll push a signal up there as well. That gets them closer to the junction. This is 2 directional, so we don't need to do anything with that. That's one way. Nothing is ever going back into the depot. This is all good. You're on your way down, and I think everybody's happy. We're down to 3 million in terms of our account. So what we're going to do is use that 3 million to repay as much of our loan as we can. That's always going to help our income, of course, even though we are on easy mode, so the amount of interest we're paying is negligible, but every little does help. And I think this is probably a decent place to end today's episode after our initial expansion. And what I'll do is, again, between this episode and episode number 3, we shall allow the game to run in the background. We'll pause the date here so we don't miss any unlocks or anything like that. And then when we resume in episode 3, we'll restart the date, and hopefully we'll be back up to a couple of million down here to fund our next expansion venture. In terms of what that expansion will consist of, it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and get some bricks into New Haven, since we have the station. We do have a construction materials plant up here by Haywood. However, I've had a quick look, and the nearest quarry is a good distance away. And I think it's all the way down here, yeah, by Chandler. I don't think there's anything technically closer than that. This is definitely going to be further away if there's anything down here. There is one there, but again, too far away to be viable, especially in the early game. What else do we have? Is it just the 3 quarries that we have? Well, we can check, can't we, by looking at the suppliers. So we have one at Cedar Rapids. Is that one closer? from there to there, or from there to there. I think this one is closer, but we would need to bridge over the river, which will be expensive. The problem with this one is we're up on the top of the cliffside here, so we're going to have to lose a lot of elevation, and that's going to be arguably a lot more expensive than just putting a bridge over the river will be. So I think what we'll do to start with is we will supply it from Chandler over here, and my plan would be we'd run it along the side of the river, we'd cross over the river, and then whereabouts are we in relation to everything else? Yeah, if we aim for somewhere around here, we can then just run through here. We can either, well, probably, which way do we want to go? We could come this way up into the construction materials plant, or we could have it come down here, through here, pass through the station, go to here, unload, pick up some bricks, head back down here, stop here, drop off the bricks they've just picked up before heading back and then on towards the quarry. If we're going to do that, the train's going to have to be pretty big, at least double-headed, maybe even triple-headed, because we want to make sure we get a big payout to cover the running costs and the journey time. So that's something to bear in mind and to keep under consideration. And then we'd have to tackle how we want to connect it into our existing infrastructure, because I would like it to connect in some way rather than having lots of disparate lines separate from each other all over the map. Anyway, enough about that. What we'll do we have a train about to leave this station? Yeah, we do. We'll hop on board this train, and do we want to go? Do you know what? I think we will go. We'll go all the way to New Haven on this cab ride, so it's going to be an extended one, so I hope you enjoy that. But for now, all that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves, enjoy the cab ride. It's ta-ta for now.